And yeah, Luther Burden did his announcement at about 6:20. He had the 3 hats out there. He had Bama.
That was cute.
He had Georgia. He had Mizzou. And he grabs Georgia and Alabama. He looks at them, and he throws them on the floor.
Ooh.
Everybody cheered. He grabbed the Mizzou cap. He put it on his head. He said, M-I-Z, let's do this. I think he was live on some type of social media while he was doing it. Then he took a bunch of questions. Good kid, great athlete, and that is a huge get for Eli Drinkwitz.
So I heard the quick interview with Demetrius Johnson, who is a very smart dude, very witty. Chirp Frank right off the bat was just hilarious.
Saw him yesterday. He's awesome, DJ.
Awesome guy. Seems like I haven't met him. I knew about his name. I remember TJ talking about him all the time. You know, I don't know that much, but I heard because I listen to everything. Heard him and Rammer. He's pumping Rammer's tires up. He's funny and witty. I'm like, okay. Then he explained, because remember, I'm like, okay, you want to go to Georgia, you want to be a big boy. But then Demetrius Johnson explained, he's like, man, these might get $500,000, and you're the big boy, and everybody, you're the guy. And I'm like, damn, okay. So he kind of convinced me that that could be the right decision. Now, when people are saying, well, your parents are close and stuff, like, whatever. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter.
It does to him, though.
It shouldn't.
He said it yesterday.
But it shouldn't.
Why?
Because I think that you're in a spot where no matter where you go, you're going to make money. You're going to take care of them anyway. So don't be like, I'm closer to you now, rather than go to a big-time school where you could be the big dog at the big dog status with all the big dogs watching you at all times, which would be a Georgia, and you fly your damn parents down there anytime they want, and they could stay wherever you want them to stay, and they do whatever, and people are going to hook you up no matter what. So my point is, listen to Dimitri, and he's talking about all these different programs or these companies that are going to pay for him and do this and do that, and he's going to be the big boy. But on the other hand, man, like, you can go to Georgia, and if you are confident in yourself, why not be the big dog on the biggest stage?
Because at Georgia, you're not guaranteed to be the big dog. You're going to be one of probably 4 or 5 stars from that class, and you know there's 3 or 4 5 stars from the class before you, and there's going to be 3 or 4 5 stars everyone's
How good
from
are
the
you?
class behind you. I know that, but it's unequivocal. You are the big dog on campus at Mizzou. You're number one. You're numero uno, top of the heap, Frank Sinatra style on that in Columbia if you're Luther Burden. And so that's the difference, and that's what a lot of people have accentuated, is that, yeah, it's Georgia, and you're one of the big dogs, but at Mizzou, you are the big dog, bam, end of sentence.
Here's the difference.
Go ahead. And I got a rebuttal of that, but go ahead.
I agree with Rock. So I was at the 2 announcements for now Mizzou's 2 biggest recruits ever, at least in the recruiting rankings era. I'm sure there was guys back in the day. But DGB was about 10 years ago. I was there in Springfield. That was Mizzou's biggest recruit ever. He was number 1 in the country. Okay? This is their 2nd biggest recruit in the history of their program since recruiting rankings have been out there. That's a huge get for Mizzou. This class now is ranked 15th in the country. That's the best class Mizzou has ever had. Even when Gary Pinkel had some really good teams. You had the 13 and 14 teams going to the SEC championship game. That was a lot of 2-star guys and 3-star guys that Mizzou developed. Eli Drinkwitz, I saw a tweet. I can't remember who put it out there, so I apologize. And I'll find it. I believe the tweet was that Barry Odom got something like 4 4-star recruits in his 5 years. Eli Drinkwitz already has 12. That's how you build.
Yep.
That's how you build. Now, remember, most of these recruits are not here yet. So we all know things aren't going great on the football field with the 3 and 4 Missouri Tigers. But this 2022 class is, by the recruiting rankings, the best class in the history of Missouri football.
Okay.
So that leads you to believe good things are coming.
Let me get to this text real quick, which is quite witty. 3 and 4 times it goes, dude, you live next to your mommy and daddy till you're 35, you clown. How can you shame Burden? I bought that house when I was 18, dummy. And then I was living in Jersey, so I mean, like, is this easy for them to take care of? He ain't living in the house, and his parents don't live next to him anyway. So I live next to my parents because I was a kid. As a kid, I just turned to become a man. I bought it, and then I was living in Jersey. I needed a house next to my parents. This is completely different. Plus, I became an addict, and I couldn't afford anything for a while, and that was another step to that. So
So thanks
Hey,
for the
trust
text.
me, if I had a lot of money, I would have bounced out of there in 2 seconds. So sit your stupid ass down. Go ahead.
Listen, though. I asked Luther Burden last night those 2 exact questions that we just talked about. He said it is important that his dad can go to the football game on a Saturday, get back Saturday night or Sunday.
I get that.
And be ready for work on a Monday. The other thing he said, because I said, look, I'm sure, and this is on my YouTube, I said, I guarantee you want to win a national championship. You know, let's be real, it is easier for you to win a national championship at Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah.
It will be harder. It's never been done at Mizzou. Is that part of the challenge, why you want to go there? And he said yes. He said something along the lines of, like, I don't want to be the next, I want to be the first.
All right.
So
I get
that's
that,
another
man.
part, man. This
I
is
get it.
He doesn't want to be the
his
next AJ
state
Green.
school.
Doesn't want to be the
get
next
you.
AJ Green. Wants to be the first Luther Burden.
I just think if if you're really confident in yourself, you just kind of want to be on the big stage because this is short-term stuff, right?
But Cam,
I'm just saying.
He's in the SEC.
Okay.
By the way, he's playing Georgia every year. He
Hey.
will play Alabama and
lose
Georgia
by 40.
We'll see. I promise
Okay.
you. No, you're probably right.
I mean,
This
okay.
year. No, this year they will lose by 40. But you don't think Georgia's going to remember when he threw that hat on the ground the first time they play against Luther Burden?
Yeah.
He's playing in the SEC still, man.
Yeah, that's true. And you're still in the spotlight. You're still playing the big dogs that are in the spotlight. Big Boss chimes in. And guys, I'm doing this because of rate. I don't know, okay? Like, I'm just trying to make an argument, like, so we have a good radio talk. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, and I admit that. You guys, I'm not acting like I do. I'm just saying. Mizzou isn't Appalachian State either, although they did have a great game. Great game against Michigan a while back. Remember that. Now, you always remember Appalachian State just because of that. But anyway, give the kid a break, Cam. Okay, I'm not, dude, he's supposed to be an awesome guy. I didn't give him a
break.
Dude, he's a stud. It's all good. I'm not chirping him. Jeez Louise. Mizzou is an Appalachian State. It's still SEC school with a good amount of NFL players. Yeah, he's not a top 5 school, but it's not like he'll never get seen or has a chance making the league playing for Mizzou. Why not be a potential legend at your home, be a big fish in a medium pond, then go to be a medium fish in a large pond? Well, that depends on how good he is, by the way. Plus, he's much more likely to make money endorsement at Mizzou as a guy than being from another guys at Bama or Georgia, where they probably have 5 stars out the wazoo. But again, if you're really, really good, you're better than them anyway. I don't know. But that's a good point, Big Boss. I get you.
Here's another part. So Luther Burden started at Cardinal Ritter. He was teammates with Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams, who's a stud now, stud coming out of high school. Where's he go?
Yeah.
He goes to Ohio State.
Yep.
Now, Ohio State, we talked about this yesterday. They might have the best wide receiver room in the country. And Jamison Williams wasn't really playing. He wasn't getting the catches. He wasn't getting the targets he wanted. He goes to Alabama. He's a freaking monster right now at Alabama, at the number 1 program in the country. And still for him, it took him a couple years to really be productive. They're buddies. So if you're Luther Burden, you're talking to Jamison Williams. And Jamison Williams knows this. You go to Alabama, unless you're Julio Jones, they probably have 3 or 4 receivers
I get you, man.
that are close to being as good as you are. I mean, even some of these Alabama players, they don't even play that much till they're juniors, and then they're first-round picks. This kid should play a lot as a freshman.
All right. Yeah, and he'll get some
He
reps.
should get a lot of balls. He should catch a lot of balls as a freshman.
I get you, man. I get it now. I just had questions, and that's why I become open-minded, and you guys say, no, this is what. And I'm like, hey, convince me this way. And I ask the text line, and I ask you 2 smart guys, and you're like, yeah, Cam, this is how it is. Then I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Another part of this,
Yeah.
Eli Drinkwitz. He is an offensive guy.
Yeah.
As great as Georgia is, they're known for their defense, running the football. Old school SEC, Kirby Smart is a defensive guy. Even though Alabama's offense is fantastic, Nick Saban is a tried and true defensive guy. Now, of course, you can go to Alabama and put up unbelievable numbers at the receiver position. But if you're a wide receiver, don't you want an offensive guru who's like, dude, I want to throw the ball 40 times a game?
What about the QB, though? Is he going to get it to you? Is he going to throw it on your feet?
Here's what you got. You got Connor Bazelak, who was the co-freshman of the year. We know his season is not going well. But you got our guy Brady Cook from Chaminade. You have Tyler Macon, who was a very big recruit out of East St. Louis. And you have this kid who's going to come in the same class as Luther Burden, Sam Horn, who's a prototypical pocket passer from Georgia. So one of those guys will get him the football. I promise you that.
I get you. Let's see here. somebody chimed in that goes, Cam, it's the same guy that told me that I live next to my mommy and daddy, which is so unbelievably true. Hey, they had beer too, by the way, and food, okay? So I went over, and plus they helped like with my dog and my cat. So yeah, I had to do what I had to do.
You don't
Great
have to
point,
apologize.
though. Great point, though. What do you say, though? He goes, hey, it's about his large family coming to see him every week in person. Huge deal. Yeah, you're right on that, man. I'm just looking at it. Dude, you guys are making sense with it. No doubt. If he's good, he's going to be good for Mizzou, or he's going to be good for Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama. If you're good, you're in the SEC, you're going to be okay anyway. The eyes are on you. Even if you're playing a bigger team that you could have played for, hey, if you go dominate them, put some points up, burn a couple of them cornerbacks, and you're like, I'm the big boy. I get it, dude.
Here's the difference. And I'll look this up, but I know this to be true. Luther Burden, as we said, is the second biggest recruit that Missouri has ever gotten. Okay? It's a huge deal when Mizzou gets a guy like that.
Yeah.
Guess what? Georgia and Alabama get a couple, 3 of those guys every year. Now, not necessarily the same position, but you know this. Alabama and Georgia are getting
Monsters.
5-star, top 10 recruits almost every year, and sometimes they're getting a couple of those guys.
Here's another code. Where's it going? Let's see. Somebody said that the Kansas City and Mizzou, all the sponsorship money is going to go to this kid. Like, so if he goes to Alabama, I guess it's going to be spread out a little more. You got 5 stars all over the damn place. But Mizzou, you got money coming in, and they're just going to single you out and pay you more than anybody. You're the big dude on campus, I guess. So you're going to make that money, and you're still going to be under the watchful eye in the SEC too.
There's a great point. I don't know exactly what type of money he's going to make from NIL, but I do know this. If you're paying the Missouri football players, the one guy you'd want to keep happy more than anybody is your number 1 recruit, right? That is Luther Burden. As I said, there are 4 or 5 Luther Burden types. Actually, there's probably 10 at Georgia and Alabama. Whereas, so he goes there, he's still great, but he's in a top 5 recruiting class every single year. Whereas if I'm at Mizzou, if I'm him, you want to take care of that dude more than anybody because he is your top-ranked player.
But then it probably goes down to who has the best-looking girls. And probably Mizzou, hey, they got a good reputation for that. It's a fashion show down there.
Alabama and Georgia? Now, hold on.
They got to be.
Listen, you'll do fine everywhere.
You will find it, no matter if you're a sweetheart and you're a big dog in school and you're nice to people, that ain't going to be a problem no matter where you go. Anyway, this kid's going to be just fine. And look, Demetrius Johnson said, too, he's a good kid.
He is.
And he was staunch about that. You know, he's a good kid. No, he's a good kid. He says the right thing. He wants to win. And I don't know. I'm excited about it, man. I like it. I just had questions. I was just wondering.
Here's the deal. Here's another
it.
part of this. I said this yesterday.
Don't give me too much crap text line. It's all good, baby.
When I say I don't care where these kids go, I say that in the sense of course, we want Mizzou to be good, and that's not me being a homer. I didn't go there, even though everybody in the media in St. Louis did go there, except for you and I. But my point is, wouldn't you rather watch an awesome team than a team that never covers, than a team that is losing all of their SEC games? So I want these kids to stay home from that sense, but I want them to be happy, which is why I also get it. If somebody from St. Louis goes to Ohio State or Alabama or LSU, you get that. And here's another point. Kevin Coleman, another great wide receiver from St. Louis, St. Mary's. He's right up there, ranked close to Luther Burden. They're the top 2, depending on what service you look at, for wide receivers in the country.
Yeah.
I interviewed him last year, and he basically said he didn't say this in a way like, I hate St. Louis. He said, I want to get out of St. Louis. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I get that.
And everybody thinks he's going to go to Florida State. He just wants a change of pace. And maybe you kind of want to get away.
But you are away in Columbia anyway. You know, it's not like playing for the Blues where you can't help being around everybody in St. Louis who you grew up with. Like, you're in Columbia, Missouri. Like, no matter where you're at, you're going to get mobbed if you're a superstar.
There's a lot of stories.
His old boys
That's my point.
Get away from the boys.
There's a lot of stories.
I know.
If you grew up in a tough upbringing,
I know,
and you're only an hour and a half or 2 hour drive away, some of your friends who are your buddies, but guess what? They don't have the same things going for them as you do, and sometimes they will bring some of that trouble from your hometown
Charlie,
to your college
They
town.
will force it on you because they're like, they get jealous, dude. These guys coming out, they're like, well, what's this? Then they kind of rebel against you. And if they're driving distance to you, you're right with that, dude. You might get caught up in the things that you want to get the hell away from.
That's what.
No doubt.
Now,
No
I just
doubt
want
about
everybody to know when I say this, full stop. I'm only bringing this up because it came to my brain, and I'm not talking about any player clearly in St. Louis. Do you remember when you watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary?
Oh, yeah.
All of his buddies and his family, what did they say? They said the worst thing that could have ever happened to that dude was playing for the New England Patriots. Why is that? Because he was from Bristol, Connecticut. So when he went to Florida, did he have his issues in college? Sure. I mean, this dude murdered
The
people.
bad dude.
However, if this dude was in the gangbang crowd in Connecticut, in New England, all of his buddies could drive. They were living with him.
Oh, I know.
In New England. So again, I'm not saying that Aaron Hernandez, I mean, clearly this dude had issues and he did all these things, but also all of the trouble from his upbringing, the bad crowd, which he was part of, they were able to linger with him as
that
he
was
was an
my
NFL
problem.
player.
I didn't score that many goals because of all my buddies. That's why. They're always lingering around in my house. I'm just joking. Everything was self-induced with me. We all know that. We had a blast here. Actually, this helped me set up after hockey because I played for the Blues. Everything's different with different people. You're right on that. Look, when you're a bad dude, you're going to find trouble no matter what, where you're at. He didn't want to get away from it. That's the problem. He was still in it, man. I'm still in it, which is so dumb. Like, he wasn't trying to escape from it. So if he's down in Dallas or if he's in Jacksonville or anywhere, them dudes are going to find him because he wanted it.
But look, I mean, when you go to these recruiting announcements and somebody introduces the player, this happened yesterday at Herbert Hoover. They always say something along the lines of this. Look, there's a lot of bad news in St. Louis with young males, right? There is. There's a lot of bad stories. It's great when we can celebrate one of the great stories.
Yeah.
And Luther Burden, great story. Kevin Coleman, great story. There's a million great stories in St. Louis, so it's fantastic.
Was I hard on him, or was I just asking questions for radio purposes? I wasn't hard on that
No,
kid.
you're asking questions more about, I feel like, Georgia, Alabama, Mizzou, which again you can understand. You can understand why it's really hard to turn down Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's a good one. 304 chimes in and goes, there was more pressure on Burden going to Mizzou. He just became the savior of the program, rightly or wrongly. He will become the reason the program turns around or doesn't.
That's also fair.
100%.
If he doesn't go out there and catch 8 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, there are going to be people like, "Hey, where's the production?" Now, not necessarily as a freshman, but if he doesn't perform on the field, I agree with that. Because, dude, Twitter exploded yesterday when he made that announcement.
Yeah, it was
Mizzou
cool.
fans were so excited, as they should be. But, yes, there's definitely pressure that goes along with
Here's
that.
a funny one. Jeff Coe chimes in and goes, great recruit from Mizzou. Let's hope he doesn't get caught smoking grass outside the stadium. DGB.
Well, here's the thing
Just
with
do it
DGB.
do it. There's safe zones. Will you get drug? Do you get drug tested in college for weed?
I feel like you do.
I think you do, don't you?
Look, DGB's issues, him smoking weed was the least of them. Now, that was, again, an issue later
Why
in
he
his
knocked
career.
some chick out?
Oh,
or
he
something?
had the issue with
God.
women and some violence
Rock's
there.
like, yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah, and that's what he got in trouble for, probably the weed thing more than anything.
Well, no, he got kicked out.
No, he didn't?
He
Okay.
got kicked out because of the issue with the woman and the stairs and all that.
Trying to turn Mizzou around is a heavy burden. BURDEN. That's funny, Splashback. You're a funny guy. If I had a prize, I'd give it to you. Too bad I don't.